This is Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Watch and listen for the very latest news and interviews from within the Big Red Machine.
A very warm welcome to episode 10 of Starcast, your Billingham Stars podcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Town Council sponsored Billingham Stars. Pleased to be joined as always by Carol and Jono. Evening to you both. How's things this Tuesday night?
Yeah. Things are well.
All good.
All good. 6 points we have to talk about, and they're all on the league standings of your Billingham Stars. So two great results last weekend to talk about. We've got a special guest who we'll bring on in a moment to talk about a slightly different side of the game to that we normally talk about. And then we'll talk about our games in detail. The home game against Leeds, the away game obviously in Sheffield on Saturday. We'll go through the results and tables and look ahead to next weekend, another double header weekend for the Stars, a smattering of any other business as well. But as I said, a special guest. We're delighted to be joined by somebody who represents the team that you watch every week. Everybody watches this team every week, but you might not necessarily support them. But hopefully after tonight, you'll support them a whole lot more. It's the referee chief of IHUK UK. It's Colin Davidson. Rico, evening. Thanks for joining us here on Starcast.
Evening. Glad to be here.
I'm sure that's true at the moment, whether it's still the same in another 20 minutes or so. No, it's great to have you on board. And as I say, the team stripes, it's a team everybody watches every weekend. They're a huge part of the game, and hopefully we'll, over the next 20 minutes or so, we'll be able to advise and educate people a bit more about officiating and refereeing, and obviously you can say how things are from the referee side. To start off, so people who don't know you at the moment, your background, obviously. We're from the northeast. We think of a hockey hotbed, but as far as a hockey town goes, there's none bigger than Kirkcaldy. So, as a Fifer, hockey is kind of a natural thing up there.
Yes, as a youngster, you've got two options really: football or hockey as sport in Kirkcaldy. So, tried my luck at football, and then I got into hockey. Never great at it. I was always a mediocre player, Craig. The highest sort of level I played at was the old BNL Div 1 against the likes of Billingham, Hull, all these sort of teams. And then that was it when it was all D-side. And then when I moved back home, I coached recreational for a little bit. And then there was a major lack of officials. So I decided to go on the course for officiating, and that was 20 odd year ago, and officiated up until 2017. And then when the IHUK referee section amalgamated, I then came off the ice and joined the officiating managing programme.
Yeah. And so people know that, so the IHUK UK referees is probably the only unified body in the sport. Really, it's one body covers all of the referees, whether it's England, Scotland, any rec, all of the levels. So how are the referees organised? We see the referees in our leagues in Billingham, but obviously of all of the referees, how are they organised in terms of the games that they do?
So we used to be level specific. For example, it was catered on specific age groups, right up from U10s, right up to Elite League. But the IHF sort of looked at different structures. So we've tried to replicate some of their structures this year. So we have four tiers. We have tier 4, which is sort of juniors and some rec. We have tier 3, which is U16 ladies, some U18s, U19s in Scotland, and universities. Tier 2, we have SNL, NIHL 1, NIHL 2, women's prem, and then some more universities that I think it's the top university team, and then tier 1 is our top tier, which is NIHL and Elite League.
Yeah, and that's how the refs are kind of allocated, and so you will see across the season the same refs if they're in your tier. Generally, you will see the referees as kind of moving around and doing your games throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, we for example, last season we did 11,000 assignments over the course of the season. That was all tiers and all age groups. But yes, you've kind of were restricted with mileage constraints and game fees to keep within certain criteria. So yes, you will see, for example, Elite League, there's a pool of elite officials. NIHL, there's a pool of NIHL officials, and that has a pyramid effect right down to the tier 4 guys and girls.
Yeah. So you mentioned the mileage there. That's why we'll see, maybe particularly if you look at Billingham in the northeast, if we get a crew down from Scotland, you'll see them coming together. So it kind of helps them travel together, keeps the cost down, and it gets them doing games that maybe a rink they might not ordinarily get to, so if they can travel together like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we try to work with all the associations to make sure that we keep the game fees and mileage to a minimum. Hence the reason, as you've just said, that you will see, officials from certain areas travelling together to keep costs down for the clubs.
Yeah, no, it's something I'm sure people maybe think about and don't appreciate, but obviously when you hear it explained, it kind of does make sense. Last one, kind of from me before the handover. Like the rest of the sport, obviously the pandemic hit hard and it hit numbers, and you lost a lot of experience as well as just numbers. How have the ref section been for the last kind of 3-4 years since we've come out of COVID and kind of recovering numbers and getting people back on the ice as part of Team Stripes?
It's been a struggle, Craig. To be honest with you, we like you said, we did lose a lot of numbers. Probably in the top tiers, they found other things, or they were spending time with family or whatever. It's like the players. The officials sometimes are out their house for maybe 12, 13 hours at a time. So it took a bit of toll. So we had to focus on recruitment. Last year was quite good in respect of we were on 5 level 1 courses. So from coming out of COVID, we were sitting around the 200 mark for all age groups. We're now back up to about the 360 mark, and hopefully with 5 courses this year, we'll be pushing. Our target is 425 for the end of season.
Yeah, and that would have you comfortably with enough referees and officials to do all of the games, all of the levels, and then you would see, because we are still seeing games with not the right numbers. That's not the right way. Would like an official short, you got 2-man systems and even some 1-man systems lower down the level. So when you get over that 400 level, does that see you comfortable where the games can be staffed at the right numbers?
Well, that's our end goal, Craig. We can't foresee people's availability because the officials, they work full time, they've got holidays to take, all that sort of stuff. So how we work it is we ask them to have their availability in the month prior to us doing the allocations. We try to have a 3-man system on all games, 4-man on the NIHL and Elite. Unfortunately, they take precedence. So if we have to steal somebody from, say, NIHL to cover Elite, then we have to pull somebody from a lower level to cover NIHL. It just has that pyramid effect. So that's why you will see sometimes a 2-man on a game. Ideally, it's not ideal. We know it isn't. And yes, as you said, hopefully with better numbers, we will start to improve on that and make sure that a majority of the games have the 3-man requirement, and it's covered with 3-man.
No, and obviously we'll mention the courses in a bit as well, so people know what to look out for if it kind of piques their interest. I mean, obviously we've talked about the kind of grassroots level and stuff, but I know Carol wants to talk about the some of the top end and the elite stuff, which is where GB kind of punch above their weight. Carol?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, with the visibility of GB reaching the upper echelons of world hockey, suddenly our officials become a bit more visible as well. And I was just wondering how you saw the development of our officials at international level. So who is the next Liam Sewell, for instance? Do we have that sort of numbers coming through at the top level that we might well see it? Top level world championships in years to come?
Definitely, Carol. I mean, I've just came back off a meeting with all the other A licensed referee in chiefs, and we get a assignment and we get issued so many licenses per year, and then we as a nation nominate who we think's the right officials for those licenses. So at the minute, we have 2 A licenses on the male side, which is 1 ref and 1 lines person. We have 2 A licenses on the female side, which is 1 ref and 1 lines person. On the male B license, we have 3 referees and 3 lines persons, and on the female, we have 1 B referee and 3 B lines persons. And we have some very young kids coming into that, or young adults, shall I say, coming into that criteria. So, we've looked at a 5-year strategy and a 10-year strategy for us as a nation to retain our IHF licenses, and we're in a good place. We had 13 officials have tournaments at IHF this year. So, that's a good number, considering we have a small pool of officials when you look at it on the global aspect.
Cool. You kind of touched on the female officials there, and I was going to actually ask how you saw the progress of our female officials. If you look at Holly Neenan for an example, of how that side of our officiating has developed over the past few years.
I think we're fortunate in respect of, other countries have a female league, so a lot of their females just work the female leagues, whereas from Ice Hockey UK referee section, our female officials work all leagues. So if they're good enough, they'll work senior hockey. And as you've mentioned, Holly, Amy Lack, they're working the elite league. We have a lot of female officials working the NIHL. We have a good uptake within the level 1 courses last year. So we're now sitting at about, doesn't sound a lot, but we're sitting at 46 female officials, which compared to other MNAs is really good. So there's a great pathway for them. And if they've got the ability, we'll push them as hard as we can to make sure they achieve the best they can in the officiating pathway.
Thank you, Jono.
So
yeah, for me, it's more on the rule side of things. I mean, how often do these get changed, upgraded? I'm from a cricket background. I'm an umpire. We get things sent through all the time. They'll never get brought in mid-season. It'll always be a big coaching session in the off season. How do you get, when do these come in? When do the guys get to hear about them? And when do they work on how to call these?
That's a great question. So the IHF, they have their council meetings. So what they do is they send out, actually last month, they sent out a questionnaire to all the MNAs asking if they have any input in what they want to do in respect of rule changes. So then the council look at it and then they do recommendation. All the changes that are implemented are done pre-season. We know about them in the June of the summer of that season. So then for the forthcoming season, we'll have all the new rules given to us. And then when we have our national conference at Nottingham, which is usually beginning of August, we then go through all the new rule changes with the officials, but also more importantly, we speak to the MNAs. So you've got the IH and the SIH. So we will speak to them and ask, here's the new rule changes. Is there something you want to implement different from that? And that's when you come into the realms of in-house rules, which we will then implement in association with the respective associations. Yeah.
I mean, talking about the in-house rules, and I remember a few years ago, the in-house rules used to be a huge number of differences. You say working with IHF, having a unified rule book, working with England Ice Hockey, Scottish Ice Hockey, the Elite League, the number of kind of changes that differ from the IHF rule book have come right down, isn't it? So that makes it must make it easier for the officials to only kind of have one set of rules in their brain at any one time.
I think that's key, Craig. As you say, there were so many different permutations of the rules, whereas now, it is more simplified, and that helps twofold. One, it helps the officials, but also it helps the internationally. It helps the GB program as well. So, hopefully, we're calling to the rule book, which is IHF rule book. So when they go away travelling for their national teams, the expectation is that the rules will be called the same or implemented the same as domestically. So it's trying to narrow that gap to make sure that we're all working off the same. You're still going to get an element of interpretation, but generally we're all working off the same rule book.
Yeah. Well, talking about interpretation, that was something I think Jono was going to mention about kind of subjective calls. Do you want to bring your point in, Jono?
Yeah, I mean, this one's probably my biggest bugbear every week now. Carol will probably know this because she unfortunately sits next to me most weeks. But it's the whole embellishment diving call. I've seen it called in the Elite League quite well. I have seen various times called in the National League, but our league officials just don't seem to want to touch on it. Is there any reason for that? Is it the fact that you're calling a player a diver, a cheat? They don't want to stay away from that, but it's just. I've mentioned it to other officials when we've had a pint after a game, and they can't quite put a finger on it themselves.
It's a hard one. Again, what you've got to remember is that when you look at the pyramid system that was said earlier there in the tier system, it might be that, you're getting some officials that their interpretation or, their idea of embellishment is slightly different. It shouldn't be. It should all be the same. But there's a lot of key factors in there where, they top two leagues work a 4-man system. So the likelihood is that something that R1 is missed, R2 might catch. But on a 3-man system, you've only got the one referee there. So depending on sight lines, positioning, there's a lot of key factors there in whether it's called or not. But certainly, if it is embellishment, we're all working off the same rule book. We would expect it to be called.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to say as well, because I see it on social media quite a lot. Does the NHL frustrate you? Because obviously, after a game in your league or our league, you'll say, "Oh, well, that was called in the NHL last week. That was called in the NHL. Why is it not called at our level?" I mean, I know the NHL has gone a bit more in line with the IHF. They've gone a lot closer towards their rule book. But obviously, everyone sees them as the standard. They're the best of the best, as people say. But obviously, their rule book is completely different to literally every other league in the world.
There is a few differences, and we try to make sure that our officials call to the IHF standard. Yes, you hear it week in, week out. Oh, I seen that on an NHL game. It was never called, or this was allowed, or there's loads of different factors in there as well. They've got reviews, they've got so many camera angles that they can look at and everything else. There's loads of factors where our guys have got a split second to make these calls. And, again, as I said, we're all human and it is a bit down to interpretation. We hope that everybody sings off the same hymn sheet and calls by the rule book. But again, as I said earlier, sight lines, positioning plays a big factor in the calls.
Yeah. In terms of the development and the training and kind of getting that consistency, obviously you mentioned the annual conference, which I've been lucky to be at a few times, and hopefully diaries permitting, maybe it's next year as well, hint. But the that's kind of the only time you can get everybody together. So how do you, throughout the season, if something's becoming a trend, do you contact the, kind of communicate with the officials to let them know, look, this is becoming a thing, look out for this? Or do you have people kind of going to referees and lines people and saying, this is happening, look out for this, and trying to get them kind of in season coaching, which I appreciate is difficult with the kind of people we have behind the scenes?
Yeah, one of the key things we identified this year, Craig, was that we lacked on getting out and performance coaching a lot of officials, especially on the early career paths. So we've introduced a mentoring program, but also in the back of that, we use Instat, so we have access to Instat. So we're clipping videos. We will make mistakes. You know what? We'll hold our hand up, and when we make a mistake, it's we're not going to get everything right. And we are telling officials, if there is a mistake, just own it. I think some players and coaches would rather that than saying, "Oh no, get away" type thing. So we are trying to work tirelessly with the officials to make sure that we give them a better platform. But also we do send clips out. We'll speak to them. We have performance coaches there. I think there's feedback forms that we get sent to us. So there's a lot there to try and help us improve the programme. But again, we, as you said earlier in the programme there, we've transitioned a lot from being top heavy on the more experienced officials to flipping the other way. We're now top heavy on entry level officials. So it's going to take a couple of years to bring these up to speed. But it is something that we were conscious of and we are trying to improve.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. And we'll talk about the courses. Obviously, you said there was going to be a number of courses throughout this season, try and get the numbers up again. What would somebody expect to do on a level 1 referee course if they came along?
So we're looking at changing that again, Craig, because what we're finding that it's a full day, so you're getting the basics right. And something we looked at last year with the IHF was that we've got a sort of beginner category, an intermediate, elite, and then a pro, if you like. So we're trying to not give them too much information, just have the basics right. So what is an ice and where should you be positioning for offsides, that sort of thing. Because we're finding that we're trying to bombard them with rules, it's not helping them. So we have a bit of positioning, we have a bit of procedures, then we do some skating, but we find that, as I said just there now, the performance coaching side is what's key, because you can actually see them in game situations. So what we've done now is we've looked at anybody new coming in until they've been seen. They can only do up to U12s until they've been seen, and we know that they're able to, have the basics right. So it's not going to frustrate players or coaches in these games. But it's a full day course. They get the basics, but then it's the ongoing training that we need to be on point with. Yeah.
And obviously courses coming through the year, so I know you've got your own social channels now for the IHUK UK Referee section, so people kind of find you on social media, and I dare say IHUK UK in England, IHUK will share things as well so if people just keep their eyes open when you start announcing courses, and if it piques their interest to get in touch with yourselves.
Yes, definitely. There's a what you call a register of interest form on the website, and there's a link to that, as you said, through EIH, SIH, IHUK UK. That populates a list to our level 1 course manager. So he then reaches out to them all. So he's got a database. I think we're sitting, believe it or not, we're sitting at about 250 at the minute. But again, it's quite sporadic all over the country. So it's got to be beneficial to, have a location where, one, we're needing officials, but two, where we're going to get a core amount of people. So we're looking at that at the minute. For example, we did one in Billingham last December, then we did one in Telford and one in Sheffield. And between the three, we had 115 people on those courses. So, not everybody's going to take it up. but that's helped us push the numbers up. And even more so, it was a lot of that. I would probably say about 65% are U18s that have played the game.
Yeah.
So that's key for us, is getting these people over to the dark side, as you may call it, to the officiating side, because we can give some people a great career path, as you said earlier, Carol. Going to world championships, going to tournaments. We had young Joe Sewell at the Youth Olympics last year. So there's a great potential, and it's just, Craig, back when I started refereeing, it was, you were a rubbish player, that's why you went to officiating. That's changed. Now it's, we can give them a great career path.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to work with all the associations to say that, we can, it's not a case of all doom and gloom. There is a great career path there if you want it.
Yeah. And the team stripes thing as well is it's not just a strap line. It is, you are the third team on the ice, and people, particularly if they come from playing, they join the referees, and it is a team, and you do support each other. Obviously, you've got the three or four guys at a particular game, but outside of that, you've got the guys at your level, the guys at your league. You can reach out to anybody who's in the organisation, and it's no joke. It is like a big team.
Exactly. We joke about it, and we are the third team on the ice. People say, "Oh, without the officials, there's no game," but without the game, there's no officials. So we've got to work hand in hand. But yeah, the camaraderie is really good, and the support and the network there is great for everybody. And as you say, it is one big team. Everybody, we're going to have our differences and what have you, but on the whole, we are collective, and we work together and stick together, and we're there to try and help the game. Ultimately, that's why we do it. It's not to be screaming, shouted at every weekend. It's there to put something back into the game.
Yeah, no, brilliant. It's really good. I say I've been lucky enough to be part of the seminars for a few years, and it's good to see. And particularly when you get the level ones and the elite league guys all in the same room talking about the same, obviously a completely different sport on the ice, but it's still hockey, and they're still talking about things, and they're still talking about incidents and rules, and it's great to see them all kind of helping each other out. Is there anything you particularly want to get off your chest about those Don players or those Don coaches?
No. You know what? I get, frustrations, passion, emotions run high, and you know what? We're trying to tell our officials just now, especially the younger ones coming through, that your game management is key, because there's a lot of times where, a player may be frustrated and it's not an aggression sort of thing. So it's trying to differentiate. But again, it's a work in progress with everybody to make sure that, we create a safe environment, for one, and two, that there's nothing detrimental to the game.
Yeah, no, it was a tongue in cheek, but yeah, no, yeah, your point is well taken. We really appreciate you having you on, Colin. It's been great to talk about. I say a team that everybody watches every week. Just before you go, is a throwaway from Jono? Do you want to come in with yours, Jono?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, the rules have changed much over the years. Is there any rule, maybe one rule, that you would like to bring back or maybe get rid of?
You know what? I think it's hard, because they're changing for the betterment of the sport. The match penalty, why did they take that away? They took that away to try and put the onuses back on each MNA and the discipline side of things. And I think that was good, because we really don't have a say then on if somebody misses the next game or not. So that's good. The check to the head's a big contention, because we've got to be aware of possible concussions and whatever else. But I think that's one that I think needs addressed in respect of the tariffs for the check to the head. I think there should only be one, but that's me, and I know it's something that everybody's looking at. You know, there's a lot of new rules getting trialled in certain areas at the minute, which could be interesting if they get implemented. So, no, I would just say, no, there's not really anything, to be fair.
No, not even the 2-line pass.
I was going to say that.
Two-line pass. Exactly. So that's just showing a rage there for where everybody's going. Like,
yeah,
you know,
John probably doesn't know. Poor Ben that he is.
Just remember it.
Yeah. But I really appreciate it, Colin. It's great having you on. We'll put some links in the show notes to IHUK Referee website and the socials, and people can have a look out when the course is. We were joking before it came on as well. The IHF rulebook is free to download. We'd encourage people to have a read of that at least once, and know for a fact that the guys and girls on the ice in the black and white stripes have read it at on-site more than we have. So would encourage people to do that. But really appreciate you coming on, Colin. Hope people have found it informative, and we'll wish you well for the season. Hopefully see you soon.
Perfect. Thanks for having us, and hopefully, we'll see you soon.
Cheers, Colin.
Thanks, Rico.
And there he goes. Much thanks to Colin, Ice Hockey UK's chief referee. Good chat with Rico. Like you said, referees, for whatever, I say, John was a cricket umpire as I used to be as well. Officials in all sports, it's kind of a thankless job, but hopefully we've given people some insight and some thoughts on why they're not always the bad guys.
Yeah, I hope so, because I hope everybody's stuck with that as well, because it was really insightful, and really massive thanks to Rico for giving up his time there, because I don't think a lot of people give much thought to the third team on the ice, except when they're screaming at them from the stands. So I really hope people have stuck with that. That was really great. So thanks, Rico.
Yeah, it's great to have him on. Like I say, I've banged the referee drum for years, and I know that very recently, you're obviously every weekend you're seeing comments online about officials, and I know I've had a bad game umpiring, and you get told about it afterwards, but they hear about it during the game, and it's not easy, and they need the help, they need funding, they need training, and they need our help to do that as well, by like promoting these courses and getting on these courses. Like I say, they can only get together one time a year, and that's one date that has to suit. What did you say? 200 officials. So it can't
360.
360 officials, and obviously not all of them are going to be available at once. So they do need more help in getting together, whether it's midpoint through the season and funding and all that, because it is the only way they are going to get better.
Yeah, no, 100%. So as I say, we'll put the details in the show notes for the ref section if you want to register an interest, see when there's a course comes up in an area beside you. But certainly I would definitely recommend, sad that I am having my IHF rule book on my phone, but yeah, you can download it, a PDF version, have a read of it, just so you get a basic idea of what you're talking about when you're...
It's always good to have as well, especially if you're traveling on from an away game. Like we've come back from Solihull where we've had some stinkers, or we think we've had some stinkers. Gives you 5 minutes or 10 minutes to have some reading in the car on the way home, because it's a long journey, and you'd be surprised. And
I dare say, when you read the rule book, you'll find out that the guys in the stripes are right more often than not.
Oh, it's Solihull.
We'll leave that topic until the next time we play them down there. But thanks to Rico, and hopefully we'll have more guests from outside of our normal sphere later in the season. So it's on with the rest of the show then. So as I said at the top, a 6-point weekend for the Billingham Stars. Away win in Sheffield and a home win over the league new boys, the Leeds Knights. We'll take them one at a time. We'll start on Saturday at the Bauer Arena Ice Sheffield. It was 5-1 for the Billingham Stars. Goals from Ian Brown and Christian Pelling equalised for Sheffield. Then Ian Brown again, and James Moss, Ian Brown with his hat-trick early in the third, and Lucas Dowdle putting a seal on it. A couple of major penalties, we can talk about that, I'm sure. And in terms of net minding, Jacob Hammond just the 13 shots to face and 12 saves. And Nick Winters, not quite the Nick Winters of last week, but still 38 saves on 43 shots, but a 5-1 win. And Stars at that point taking over the top of the league. Carol, do you want to start with Saturday in Sheffield?
Yeah, saw a comment earlier today that the Skimmers have put out from the captain that said that they'd shown they could live with us on Saturday, and I'm sorry, I just don't agree with that at all. There was only ever one team in it. 5-1 massively flattered them. I think you can tell that from the shots on goal, which strangely enough I quite agree with this week. It seemed at some points to be one of those games where the net was living a charmed life for Sheffield. We just weren't as clinical as we probably were on Sunday. But there was never, that result was never in any doubt. Even when they equalised, it was just a matter of time. A bit of a sticky second period in terms of not scoring, and a couple of major penalties, as you say. It was a really nasty one on Mikey Elder. He needs some dentistry doing this week. But I just don't agree with that comment. Sheffield didn't really live with us at all. I think I think that was a pretty comprehensive win.
Yeah. So 5-1 flattered Sheffield. Jono, and Ian Brown, as we saw on Sunday as well, Ian Brown just can't stop finding in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dangerous player. He's a very, very dangerous player. You put him in tight spaces, he can skip out of them. So to give him the freedom of Sheffield with the size of their ice was very dangerous, and he punished them. Every time he had the puck, he looked like he was just going to score a goal. I don't think, as Cara mentioned, they certainly weren't our clinically best. I don't think we were at our best by any stretch, to be honest. Obviously, the break did a little bit to get the legs going. I think the lads might have appreciated having a game last weekend instead of having a rest. It did take a bit of time to get going. A few of those loose passes, the skating wasn't quite there. But yeah, those comments today were just ridiculous. I think, like Carl mentioned there, a sticky third period, but the ice was tilted one way. I think it was 15 shots to 1 or 2. And yeah, we just dominated without being at our best. And I think Winters must have done something with his goalposts, because they were just pinging all night long in Sheffield.
Yeah. But I think when you talked to Fozzie on Big Red Machine Radio, Carol, it was kind of professional performance, I think, was the way we judged it. It was, as Jono says, coming back from the week off, getting the legs going again, and maybe he's not being as clinical as we could be. Unfortunately, Leeds maybe pay the penalty the following night, but we'll come to that in a minute. But doing more than enough to win the game and take the points home.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about the Ping City. I don't know how many times we hit the post, but you should get extra points for that, surely. I think it must have been 4 or 5 times we've hit the post on Saturday. So this score could easily be much higher. Yes, it was a professional job. We weren't as clinical as we could have been. I've seen some recent comments about us being able to thread the passes together well on the small ice at the Forum. I think Saturday proved ice size doesn't really matter. We are probably the best passing team in the league, and we are currently rolling with 3 first lines. I think Foz made that comment on Sunday. I don't think there's many teams at the minute, if we're on our game, that are going to be able to live with that.
Yeah. On paper, Ian Brown is our third line left wing, which is a bit ridiculous. When he scored 15 goals in 9 games, I think Ant put out this morning. Anything else on the Sheffield game other than the lack of catering options?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I will say was the hit on Mikey could have changed everything. It could have been a very, very different game. I might get shot down for saying it, but it was nothing but a premeditated, nasty hit with every intention to hurt somebody. Thankfully, it's only a chipped tooth, but obviously we know how expensive the dentist is these days. And I think the lads responded very well from it. I think Connor was first one in, followed up by Sykesy, and then but it could have been an absolute different story because that hit was nasty and horrible.
Yeah, and so the guys, it's happened a few times this year. There's been a bad hit, and the guys haven't been afraid to step up. Those well-known hard men of Sean Galloway and Chris Sykes. But yeah, it shows that the way the team are kind of jumping to each other's support, which is good to see. No, we'll leave Sheffield there. Say bring the points home on a Saturday night. Back to the Forum on Sunday. A brand new opponent, Leeds Knights NIHL 1 team. Kind of following the path of a few other clubs and having a second senior team to kind of complete their pathway. I don't know if it was a sticky start. I know Foz says he wasn't happy with the way things started off, but Leeds took the lead with the very talented Edgar Zvengus, just over 16 years old. A bit of a talent in the Leeds ranks there. He's already played a few games for the national division team as well. But then after that, Callum Wilkinson, Ian Brown with 2, Sykesy with 1, Rowley with 1, Connor with 1. Ian Brown completing his second hat-trick of the weekend. Rowley his second, Connor his second, and Mossy his later in the third. A 10-1 final. Shots on goal were massive, as you can expect. Daniel Norton, who actually played really well, daft as it may sound, with a 10 goals against, but 10 goals on 54 shots. And Jacob again let that first one in, and then 18 saves after that. Just 1 goal from 19 shots. Just looking at the Mikey coming back with his broken tooth and picking up 4 assists, just as you do, with half a front tooth. Jono, do you want to start us this time then? Leeds, first thoughts on the Leeds Knights, first of all?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I was very confident going into the game, as you would expect. And then obviously that result from the night before, 5-2, 5-3, 5-4, 5-5, got to overtime with the Solihull Barons. You're thinking, oh no, what type of night are we going to be in for tomorrow? And then you go 1-0 down and you think, these are up for this. This is going to be a tough night. And they've got talent all over the ice in very young players as well. You've already mentioned Edgar Zvengus, myself, and someone else on one of my podcasts mentioned the young Owen Dell, who was very talented. They have a great netminder who will win them games. On last night's performance, he will win teams games. He was that good yesterday. So we've got a very young side. And I just think if we hadn't have the 3 lines of depth and quality that we had, there probably would have been more in the game, but I just don't think they could constantly live with the 3-line pressure that we can bring to teams. Yeah.
And it was that scoring depth, Carol, like I say, once we finally broke through, the go-ahead goal from Ian was the one that I remember. Once he cut in off his left foot and he was going down the middle of the ice, there was only one place that puck was going to end up, and it kind of kept going from there. And I say his line again on paper, the 3rd line, but then the top line's chipped in, Rowley chipped in on the 2nd line, and everybody's kind of contributing, and that makes it very, very difficult for teams to match the Billingham Stars at the moment.
Yeah, you when you read out all of the goal scorers at the start of the game review there, what's our first line? We don't have a first line anymore. We have 3 first lines, and I think if you're an opposing team coach and you're coming, especially to the Forum, and you're looking and you're going, okay, how am I matching this then? What do you do? Every other team in this league, it's very distinctive who your top line, middle line, 3rd line is. Billingham, I think you could count our supposed first line as amongst the best in the league, and then you go, actually, our 2nd line, and then you look at our 3rd line, it's got Ian Brown on it, and Ian Brown is top scorer. It doesn't make logical sense, I guess, but how lucky are we to be in that position?
Yeah, is this where we run the poll? Is Ian Brown better than Nicholas Otterson? Just for our Solihull listeners.
Nobody's better than Nicholas Otterson, apparently. So That argument's already won by several crap memes online.
As long as we've come around to the Solihull way of thinking. But yeah, as Carol says, Jono, the strength and depth. You not know who your top line is on the ice. On paper, you've got to write them down 1, 2, 3. But throwing any line out there at any time of the game, and the Billingham Stars are dangerous.
Yeah, I'm just looking at, like I say, I'm looking at the goal scorers now in the roster. I mean, who do you pick your best lineup against? Do you go against Sykesy, Elder, and McNulty? Good luck to you, because the next line coming out is probably Gritans, Moss, and Dowdle. Do you manage to shut that line down? Oh well, there's just Ian Brown, Shuggy Galloway, and Wilkinson. So I don't know what you do with that. And then you add into the D, our D that we have, that's free flowing. I mean, I think Toby Spraggan's around 15, 16 assists already this year. James Helens is chipping in with quite a lot of points. Joe Dowdle's racking up points. So yeah, good luck to you. At the moment, when we're winning, we're hard to stop.
Yeah. I mean, Jono mentions the D there, Carol. We had 5D on Saturday. Jam wasn't available then, but the full 6D and Darren Statsfield kind of getting his way back into the lineup this weekend, and good to see him. I know he was, when he talked on his interview on Billingham Stars TV, he was talking about he was only just about getting his fitness back, and so he's had that kind of month off. So hopefully we'll see bigger and better things from Darren. But the deco, as we've said for a few weeks, is really solid as well.
Yeah. When teams do get the opportunity to come at us, I'm confident in more situations that we're going to be able to shut them down. We're tactically at the back, I think, stronger than last year. Whether that's down to Richie Thornton, I would assume so. But we just look at that little bit more solid. I'm not entirely sure how to describe what I mean there, but I just think when teams do try to break us down, they have to be very, very good to get past our decor. And more power to the team for improving on what was already a pretty good defensive lineup last year.
Yeah. And it was something Fozzie said earlier this season, which we kind of picked up on, is, yes, we're league champions, but we need to be better than last year. And in certain cases, like you say, having our 49 goal scorer on the second line, having our other import forward on the third line, and then bringing in the guys on D and tightening up the defense. It shows we have maybe taken a step forward even on last year's form. So very positive. A word about the Leeds Knights. Obviously had a chance to speak to their coaches in the post game. Had a good chat with Davy Lawrence, and a familiar face to forum viewers. Andy Munro is helping with the coaching down at Elland Road with the Knights and IHL 1 team. And we kind of said that they're kind of where we were coming out of COVID, with these players getting the first go of senior hockey. But with the likes of Vengis, Owen Dell, Michael Deneko, plus the guys coming through from the under-19s, in a year or so's time, they're going to be possibly a scary NIHL 1 team, Jono.
I don't even think it'll be that long. I think every week they're going to get better. Yeah, they'll have an off night like tonight where they come up against, what can you call it, as a powerhouse. They'll go to tough places like Blackburn, which they'll learn every week. But the biggest thing is they're training together all the time. They're with each other all the time. They're learning all the time. And as long as that young talent doesn't become selfish and going, I'm only here to be in the national team, and they're there to learn and better themselves and better the team that they're in, they're all going to go places, which means that team will go places as well.
Yeah. And selfishly, great to have a 10th team in the division as well, Carol, to kind of more fixtures, but kind of help grow the division, which is something that we've been crying out for a couple of years.
It is, and I think everybody has to remember that the health of the league benefits everybody in it. We can't be looking inwards all the time. A strong league usually makes for strong teams in it. So the more the merrier. A 10-team league, much as it may sound a bit odd because it's only one more, but 9 teams always just sounded a little bit odd. You want 10 teams. You want that competition for the playoff spots. You want that progression. The next step for me now is promotion and relegation, but that's a whole different issue. So we'll just park that one for now.
I'll leave you to raise that with the NIHL general manager in due course.
Yeah.
Anything else on the Leeds game or the Leeds club or anything from Sunday night?
No, great game, great crowd again. The crowd was a bumper crowd, obviously not having a game for a couple of weeks. It does matter to these fans. They do get star hungry when there's no games on, which is great to see.
Yeah, no, 100%. And long may that continue. Quickly have a look through the results and tables from the weekend as things stand. And then we'll talk about the weekend ahead for the Billingham Stars. So quickly review Saturday the 19th. So it was Sheffield 1, Billingham 5, Leeds 5, Solihull 6 in overtime. As John said, Solihull were 5-0 up before the Leeds Knights came back with 4 unanswered in the third before Solihull took the extra in overtime. It was Blackburn 3, Whitley 4 in regulation. That was down in the northwest. And then Sunday's fixtures, Billingham 10, Leeds 1, as we know. Solihull 2, D-side 7. So not a great weekend for the Barons, just the 2 points for them. And Widnes 2, Blackburn a lot more than 2. Hat-trick for Bonds, hat-trick for Lutwich, hat-trick for Meow. So before we do the league tables, anything on the results? No, I'm not going to forget Meow.
We're never going to forget Meow. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few big shocks in the results.
Yeah.
I would think it's been a terrible weekend for the Barons, and yet they won a game. It's been a terrible weekend because obviously they dropped a point in the win. I didn't expect the Hawks to lose at home, not to the Warriors.
Nope.
And then Barons getting humped on home ice again.
Yeah. I didn't look at the scores for the D-side game. Was it
just your usual suspects on both sides?
Yeah, both imports. So Hayek 3 and Wachowski 3. Yeah. 2 hat-tricks for the D-side Dragons. We'll look at the tables, and as we head into week 9, I think it is coming up. So top of the table, Billingham Stars, 9 games, 24 points. Hull Jets didn't play the weekend. They're still second, 9 games, 20 points. D-side have jumped up to third. They've got 8 games and 18 points. Whitley Warriors, 7 games, 16 points. Blackburn, 9 games and 15 points. Solihull, 9 games and 14 points. Lions, 8 games and 12 points. Leeds Knights, 9 games, 7 points. Sheffield, 10 games and 3 points. And Widnes, 8 games, still without a win for the Widnes Wild. The Cup's starting to take shape as well. Billingham are in Cup Group A, based on rankings from last season. Billingham 3 wins from 3, as has Whitley, and then D-side 3 wins from 4. So it's Billingham 1, Whitley 2, D-side 3, all on 9 points. Nottingham Lions have 6 points, and the Scimitars 8 games in the Cup, no points, and they are officially eliminated. Cup Group B, Hull Jets top from Blackburn, from Solihull, from Leeds, and from Widnes. So it looks like Hull are going well, but it's between possibly Blackburn and Solihull. So one of those teams you feel, Jono, will not make the semi-finals.
Yeah, they have a game left between each other, I believe, at Blackburn.
Yeah.
So that could be a big game. But yeah, I think Hull are probably home and dry. Still got 4 games to play in their division. Yeah, so yeah, I think a couple of big teams in each division are going to miss out.
Yeah,
which is great for the cup because it shows that it's a fantastic setup.
Yeah, and that's it. The 2 groups going straight to semi-finals. Just the top 2 means there's no easy qualification. You've got to be on it all the way through to get through, which is what you want. Thanks as always to Joe Scott's NIHL Stats for all the information. I'm using his box scores. If you go to nihlstats.wordpress.com, you can get the box scores from all of the games in all 4 of the regional NIHL divisions. A statistician's delight, or a podcaster's delight, as Jono and I both on a regular basis use the info. So the weekend ahead, another doubleheader for Billingham. A quick return to, as I announced on Sunday, the chipspice.com arena in Hull on Saturday. And then it's the Halloween game against the Nottingham Lions on Sunday. We'll just take it as a quick preview because we're coming up to 55 minutes. We've been talking a lot. My throat's starting to feel it, and people will get sick of our voices, I'm sure. So we'll take it as a quick weekend together. Back to Hull, and then the first time this season for Nottingham. Carol, do you want to take this first?
Okay, well, it is a quick return to Hull. Fixture scheduling's a bit weird there, but they're going to be out for a little bit of revenge. They've had a week off though, so they may find themselves a little bit like we did at the start of the Sheffield game, just trying to get back into the swing of things. But there's no doubt at all they want to get some revenge for the other week. And then Nottingham, we've not seen yet. They've had a bit of a mixed bag of results. They've got some wins we didn't expect them to, and some losses that we possibly did expect them to. So we'll see what turns up. Obviously, none of the foreign faithful have had the pleasure of seeing Padlet yet, so there's a joy to come. And don't forget to dress up.
Yeah, John can take that forward when we were talking about Hockey-ween. Get my teeth in. But yeah, your thoughts on the weekend ahead, John? Hull, obviously after they lost to us, they also lost to Sheffield, and I think they've had a week off, so they've been stewing on it for a couple of weeks. So they're going to be ready for us on Saturday, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the time we're going to go with two ways for them, isn't it? That sounds it. They're either going to be leggy because they've not been on the ice for a while, or they've managed to, because they had a little bit of bad form before their break. They'll be ready and up for it, and with a game plan to stop us, which I'd be intrigued to see what that game plan is to stop us, actually, because at the moment we are firing. But nevertheless, we've got to go into that game like we did 2 weeks ago with full concentration. But I'm happy to be getting these games in Hull out the way quite quickly because they could be a right pain in the owl backside come the running in the new year.
Yeah. So that's Saturday, 5:30 at Hull Arena, the most versatile arena, as long as there's ice involved. And then Sunday back at Forum Ice Arena, 5:30 as usual again. Billingham Stars, your Billingham Town Council sponsored Billingham Stars against the Nottingham Lions. It's Hockey-ween, fancy dress, competitions to be won, and more and more. Hope you can join us at the forum. Quickly before we finish, any other business? I know we've got a couple of, well, at least one Billingham graduate to give a mention to. But anything for you, John, or any other business?
No, just supporters club stuff. We do have our Hockey-ween, so please do come fancy dressed. The sports club committee will be keeping an eye out and will be picking the best fancy dress for a special prize, which you will be told about at the time if you win.
And so it is the intrigue. Any other business, Carol, from Team Media?
I was kind of hoping Jono will give us some of the inside track on the shenanigans of this week. Yokoyama getting the old Spanish archer from Telford. Bit of an odd one, but they've moved very quickly to replace him. Who knows where he's going to turn up, because he was doing okay. He was putting up points. So
at the moment, I am told he's going to Romford for injury cover. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
There you go. You've heard it here first.
He's more southern based than he used to be when he's at Nottingham, wasn't he? So whether a return to NAHL North would ever have been on the cards, I don't know.
Is it Matty Barlow? Matty Barlow at Leeds?
Matty Barlow's left Leeds. Correct.
He's left Leeds, and he may rock up somewhere over in the northwest.
Over in the northwest with a bit or a were? Let's think. Or a duh.
Or a duh.
Or a duh. We'll see.
We shall see.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been plenty of rumours still flying about even today. So clearly the rumour mill has not stopped and is probably giving Jono plenty of fodder for his podcast.
I can wish before I'd stop for a night, to be fair, and Mrs. is going to kill us.
Yeah, no, if Jono survives the next 24 hours, you'll be able to hear Stick to the Pod later in the week. We did mention it last week as it kind of trailed it. But yeah, the Billingham alumni, Robert Dowd, scored his 740th point in the Elite League on Saturday with a nice little batting the puck out of the air kind of goal, and then very unusual, not a Robert Dowd goal at all, but makes him the all-time leading scorer in the Elite Ice Hockey League. So well done to Robert Dowd, Splat. The words golden and child are banned. I noticed somebody used it on the forum the other day. That's a Sheffield only thing. But yeah, great to see. And hopefully when that all-time leading scorer signs his multi-year, multi-promo deal at the forum in the hopefully not too distant future, we'll be able to see it up close and personal. And from the media, we had our latest playlist.
Yeah.
I'm sure the players liked it. I know some of them seem to be moving around to it. It was Lucas Dowdle, who was like a child, bless him, and it was like nothing like I've ever heard before because I'm old.
I've never felt so old. I read that list. I'm thinking, no, I've never heard of any of these. I've not heard of any of the artists. I'm officially old.
Yeah, no, it was. I say the guys seem to like it, which is what, and they scored 10 goals, so we'll not challenge that. This week it is DJ Darren Statsfield. Still a bit heavy on the but at least I've heard of some of these.
I've heard of all of them, and at least one of them is standout brilliant.
Yeah. So we look forward to people seeing that on or hearing it on Sunday, and it will be on our Spotify channel. So if you look us up on Spotify, as well as all the other bits and pieces, you can find all the playlists that we've created so far this season and listen to me in the pleasure of your own headphones. But we'll leave it at that for now. Once again, a big thank you to Colin Davidson, our guest earlier on, IHUK UK's chief referee, to talking all things Team Stripes. We'll have the links in the show notes to their website and their socials, so you can keep an eye on when the courses come on for you to become a member of Team Stripes. And this Saturday, as Billingham are in Hull, 5:30 at the Hull Arena, taking on the Hull Jets, and then back home Sunday again, 5:30. It's the Halloween dressy-uppy game. Come see Jono dressed as something, I'm sure. Are you dressing, Jono?
I am not dressing, no. No,
you can't ask people to dress up and then not dress up.
I look scary enough in my normal clothes, so I shouldn't be dressing up anyway.
Put your wing shirt on, that'll be fine. Yeah.
Hey, got more.
I can say that because at least one last night.
One more thing, though. Just a quick well done to Colin McNulty being this first star of the month.
Yeah, no, that was good. We'll link as well. He had a quick chat before he drove home on Sunday night. Quick chat with Billingham Stars TV. We need to know which went first. Was it obviously got the trophy, which is the perpetual trophy. He also got a bottle of Staropramen.
Yep.
However you say that.
Staropramen, it says Star.
And a Star Bar. So which went first, Connor? The Star Bar or the lager? I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Well, I hope the Star Bar because he had to drive home.
Not at the same time.
So he had to drive home.
But yeah, so that was September's Star of the Month. Obviously, we're coming this weekend is the last weekend of October, so I dare say you'll be asking your supporters club members to vote again in the next couple of weeks.
If you want to vote, you better join up.
Spoken like a true salesman. Excellent. Well, I've enjoyed tonight, guys and girls. Thank you very much for your time as always. It's an hour 5 minutes, so it's the longest one we've done so far, but it is our 10th anniversary. 10th episode, same difference. But thanks to everybody for listening to Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Town Council sponsored Billingham Stars. Do the likey, sharey, subscribey thing. Help us get I still never made the graphic. I'll have a word with myself next week. Follow us on social. Like I say, like and subscribe to the podcast if you listen online, to the video version if you watch the video version, or if you listen to the audio, however you consume the Starcast. We're very grateful for you to join us. I hope you can join us again next week. We'll see you at the rink on Sunday, if not. But to Carol, thank you. To Jono, thank you. Thanks to Colin, as always. And we'll see you soon here on Starcast.
Thank you for being part of this episode of Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Remember to like and share this episode, send a review when you can, and follow us on social media for the very latest news and to find out when the next Starcast will drop.